Second tier, work release at your door. Work release at your door.
Mainline Patrol, I have a staff assault on the second tier.
Get down! It's something that not everybody's cut out to deal with, working in a prison. It can try one's soul. It's akin to being in combat. Decades in a prison, you can see the worst of what humans can do to each other and themselves. It can wear on a person.
I've seen riots, I've seen stabbings, people get hurt, whether it's inmates or staff. The death of an officer is horrible. You see blood everywhere, you see what happened to him, and there's no way of saving him.
They stand watch over the worst among us, 24/7, 365, in a world few can imagine.
He grabbed a milk carton full of feces and urine and who knows whatever else.
Are you going to yard?
Yeah.
We're in prison. These guys are bad guys, you know. Nobody's here for being a good guy.
And this place is not a normal place. This is not a 9-to-5 place. There's violence here that, happens often.
I've seen staff assaults. I've seen ward assaults, and your blood pressure goes up. You're nervous because you know what's happening, but you open that door and you don't know exactly until you get there. And then you have to deal with it.
You just make sure your partners are safe, and we don't want inmates to kill each other either. So we make sure that inmates are safe. That's our job.
And then guess what? Tomorrow you're coming back, and you're going to do it all over again.
They're sworn to protect and care for people who have hurt and killed, to help educate, guide, and prepare them for release and better lives.
When you walk in a job where you have to wear body armor and weapons and put in a position where you have to deal with convicted felons that have multiple different types of criminal records, it's a scary thought.
When they come in here, it's difficult because most of them are gang banging. They're gang banging, and that's all they know, that's all they want to do. So to try to convince them to, do something different, that's the challenge.
You never know what you're gonna get, you know what I'm saying? So come to work, anything can happen, so just be prepared.
Working behind the walls and razor wire, unseen by the public they protect, California's correctional peace officers walk the toughest beat in the state.
I know when it goes bad that I got your back and I'm not going to be going the wrong direction. I'll be running into the fight, not away from it. It's my family, it's my brothers and sisters that are out there. I need to go have their back.
You've probably been through 4 or 5 grants of felony probation before you've ended up on that bus to prison.
They earned their way in. This didn't just happen. This was a pattern of conduct that told everybody, you know what, you don't belong out with free people right now. You need to be locked up for some period of time, during which there should be programs to help you, but you can't be out with law-abiding people because it's not fair to them.
They've started off and they've gone down this path, and we've done everything we can to try to correct the behavior, and it hasn't worked.
The people in prison are the people who present the greatest threat to the public on the outside.
There's a misperception about who's in prison. They're not your drug salespeople, possession of drugs. We don't send those people to prison. You either earn your trip to prison based upon a very violent crime right now, or you earn it because you have a violent criminal past. And those are the folks that are going to prison.
So they're violent offenders, they're serious and repeat offenders, they're career criminals, they're sexual offenders. They're people who I think almost everybody would agree should be in prison as opposed to on the outside with potential victims.
Every hour of every day, correctional peace officers are locked inside California prisons with the state's most serious and violent offenders, surrounded by concrete and razor wire and electric fences carrying 22,000 volts of electricity, standing watch in a hidden world where what happens is sometimes impossible to imagine.
When you come in the parking lot and you drive through that gate and you're putting on your equipment, you better be in the right mindset.
It's like walking into a war zone. Some people are taking a break, some people are ready.
You never know. Some of these guys on the streets that were doing stuff on the streets, they might have got caught for a robbery, but they probably killed people. You don't know. You don't know these guys like that. So you better be ready. You better be prepared.
You do have to remind yourself where you're at. Don't get comfortable. You know, it's okay to laugh. It's okay to talk to inmates. It's okay to talk to your partners, but always keep in the back of your mind that you are in a prison.
Even when you feel reasonably safe, you always know that the thing could go off, and staff deal with that all the time, and I think it takes a toll.
Just keep your eyes open, keep your head on a swivel, pay attention, notice small things. There's all these personalities that we're dealing with in here. Any change in their personality and their personal behavior could be an indication of something. It could be good or bad, but here you want to assume the worst.
Inmates often bring the worst of their lives into prison. Many are from broken families with long histories of violence and abuse. Survivors of troubled communities where drugs, gangs, prostitution, and violence are a way of life.
Yes, I was sexually and physically abused from the age of 6 until 13. And my mother married a guy, and like many women do, they choose their men, you know, and sacrifice their children. From my experience, and it's a lot of years' experience, 90% of the women in prison have been sexually abused as children. 90%. It was just commonplace. It was just commonplace.
Prison population is radically disproportionately occupied by people who were abused as children. They end up in a terrible cycle where they don't get education. Their peer group is a very dangerous one, or perhaps they've attached themselves to somebody or some group of people just to have somebody supposedly care about them.
He promised me the moon, wanted to make a straight girl out of me, and little did I know I was marrying into gun running, manufacturing of drugs, selling and transporting of larger drugs.
They become vulnerable. They can be perhaps seduced into situations that lead to exploitation.
I knew the gentleman, so I took the drugs to him, and then he flaked, and it just irked my husband to no end, and then he solicited somebody to go there, and I drove the car. And I didn't know that night that my husband would kill him, his wife, and a visitor that was there. So I went to prison with a 15 to life sentence.
A growing number of inmates have serious mental health issues that can make them volatile and unpredictable. Others with histories of drug addiction can carry HIV, hepatitis, and other serious diseases, which can be a deadly threat to officers.
Oftentimes we've had disruptive inmates down in the B1 clinic here. A couple years ago we had an inmate over behind me and was gonna clear him for crisis bed. That particular person didn't want to go to crisis bed, so he ended up breaking out the window with his fist. It lacerated everything. He is at HIV Hep C, of course, so we're concerned about that, and blood was everywhere, so direct pressure, put him back here. The doctor was going to stitch him up. The inmate wouldn't let him touch him, so we had to send him out code 3, and they had to give him some sedatives to calm him down because he was so irate.
When possible, officers wear biohazardous suits in situations where they could be exposed to blood and other bodily fluids.
This is it here. Comes in a bag. If we're doing a cell extraction, if the inmate's in there, cutting himself, anything like that, there's a lot of blood present, feces, urine, I think that's going to protect us from those contents. If he is, cutting on himself or anything like that he's in urgent care, we don't really worry about this. We kind of worry more about the life of the inmate, and we go in and get the inmate from there. So in this bag, we're gonna have a coverall. Go ahead and slide it on. Got a zipper in the front. We got 2 booties. Basically go on over your boots. And then obviously you have the biohazard bag, so when we're done, we'll take everything off and put it in this bag. Basically saying it's contaminated with blood, feces, urine. We also have wipes, so we clean ourselves up afterwards, our hands, anything like that. Goggles. We got the face shield here. All right, goes over. So anything else is gonna splatter under. And then you have your 2 pairs of gloves you would put on. Make sure when you put them on, you put them over. That's it.
Most days in prison are tedious and routine, but violence can strike without warning.
There are violent people here that do violent things for absolutely no reason.
Well, there is some subset of prisoners who are just so utterly and unredeemably antisocial that they'll do anything they can to hurt you.
Are you going to get assaulted? Yes, you will. Not by every inmate, but there's always that possibility that it is going to happen. And it will.
Are you going to yard?
One of the most common and dangerous assaults against officers is an attack called gassing.
Gassing is probably the most disrespectful and hostile and offensive thing you can do to somebody and without killing them. Those are the kinds of things that most people, whatever they do, never come across. I mean, this is only something you find in prisons.
It is a combination of whatever bodily fluids and functions somebody can collect up into a cup, milk carton, plastic bag, anything that will hold liquids, and that an inmate uses to throw on you as a weapon through either their food port, cracks in the doors, under the door, in an attempt to hurt you and make you sick.
He had feces in there and he had made it in a cup, made it soupy so he can throw it on you. When he threw it, it traveled and I turned and it kind of got me like right on the side of my face.
He was able to bounce it off the food tray and up into my face, eyes, nose, mouth, washed my safety glasses off of my face.
I've seen it happen many times. I've gotten gassed myself. He grabs his cup. Next thing you know, I see him shoot something at me out of the cup. The only thing I could do at the moment was just turn, and I got one side of my face, part of my ear, my neck, ran down my shirt.
We've had a medication here we can give if the staff member wants to take it, and then they can go see their private physician if they get exposed, bloodborne exposure, whether it's fecal matter, urine, or blood.
So then you spend a year, 2 years, 3 years getting AIDS tests and hepatitis tests and vaccinations, but without it, your life, your family's lives, the people you love, all impacted.
You do get angry, but you quickly remember where you're at and what your role is and what we're subject to.
Cell extractions are another risk for officers. Under policy, inmates must be visible to officers at all times to ensure their safety and the safety of their cellies. But sometimes inmates mask their windows or refuse to leave their cells. When negotiations fail, officers assemble a cell extraction team to forcefully remove the inmate, with the extraction carefully documented on video to ensure procedures are strictly followed.
Officer Ostrander, I'm the shield man.
Officer Hutchison, hand restraints.
Officer Hernandez, leg irons.
Officer Ramos, baton.
Officer Sandifer, cameraman.
Are you going to come out?
Fuck you! Come on! Bring it!
Coming in.
Fuck you!
Stop resisting! Give me your hands! Jump up, hands behind your back, crew! resist, crew. Fuck all y'all. Back out. Do not resist. Got what? Do not resist. Got one. Fuck you. Put me on, bitch. Y'all ain't shit. Don't resist. Leave me all fucking alone. Y'all come in deep like that. Fuck you.
I'll be calling you right now.
So basically we're just doing a random cell search. Looking for contraband, any type of contraband, specifically drugs or drug paraphernalia, cell phones, anything they're not supposed to have. We find porn, we'll find drug paraphernalia, it's really common. We look through little papers, we'll find kites or information. They'll pass messages amongst each other, we call them kites. And we gather a whole bunch of intel from them if we can find them. Just the search, just the random search. We need to come out and hit some houses and learn who inmates are and see what they got. Some beginning stages of Pruno. Pruno is inmate manufactured alcohol. Just the fruit that we give them for their lunches. This is what they get the flavor from for their alcohol. And they'll either drink it if they're alcoholics, or a lot of them will sell it on the tier also. So inmates will have all kinds of get downs. They'll have ways that they earn money from the tier. Some repair things. They make lighters so they can light their cigarettes or their incense. They may be making tattoo guns. You look for motors, like out of the little Walkman, or the copper out of this, and then either selling it or using it as a business. So we found a clear crystal-like substance. Just so we know whether it's a controlled substance or not, we're gonna use a field test kit and test it here. So if it's narcotics, then that amount, the inmate will be placed in ADSEG because it's enough for distribution, and they'll probably have additional charges brought on by the DA. So the next ampule that we break will give us our result. And you can see it's not the same colors, so it's not positive. We'll look in these air vents a lot that they have, and we'll look for strings or anything that they could have tied off to the inside there to conceal from us. And a lot of times we'll find weapons connected to strings and pull them out. Same thing with the toilets. They'll hide weapons inside the toilets, so we'll look in there. We'll look underneath them. We found recently some cell phones taped underneath because I don't think we're going to do an in-depth search, and we do.
With nothing but time, inmates are endlessly inventive and can turn everyday materials into virtually anything needed.
It's a variety of weapons, from metal to aluminum to plastic, a shampoo bottle melted down and sharpened. It could be just a regular toothbrush melted down at the end with a razor blade attached to it, commonly known as a tomahawk, because it's a slashing type weapon. They come in various shapes and sizes, as you can see, from metal to plexiglass to just a plastic bag. So what an inmate will do is he'll continuously roll it and then melt it down, roll it some more, melt it down until it becomes really hard. When he gets the proper shape and size that he wants, he'll usually put it in water to harden that plastic and then start sharpening the tip. And that's really hard to detect. It'll do some damage. You take something as simple as a desk identifier, a name placard. It starts off by the inmate just cutting a piece down and then going from there and actual manufacturing it into a stabbing type weapon. Very sharp. The lanyards here where they can actually wrap it around their hand, where they can bury it into the ground and leave that portion out so they know where it's at. They can come by, pull the string, and they have a weapon within seconds.
Inmate ingenuity doesn't stop with the making of weapons, but extends into all areas of prison life.
This is a stinger right here. So this one's made out of soap. There's some wires that are ran through, a couple paper clips, so that they can plug this into an outlet. They'll have a little wire between these two prongs right there that will actually heat up, that they can light their cigarette, dope, or what have you. You know, light fires to make Pruno or tattoo ink. Then you also notice that there's a outlet plug there, so that it can still plug in their hot pot while they're smoking. This is what a hot pot is. Now these are examples of what happens to them when they catch on fire. They don't boil and they don't really cook their top ramen quick enough for them, so they'll jump the thermostat, allowing this to reach boiling temperature. This heating element right here will melt the plastic down and it'll catch on fire, which will then, usually they'll have this in the back of their cell on top of a bunch of boxes, which will then catch on fire as well. So we have a pretty good rip-in cell fire from just a simple hot pot like this.
They're pretty ingenious. They can create anything really, and these are just inmate manufactured tattoo guns. And they can use parts of big pins, small motors and radios or CD players. And then the needle portion can be a guitar string, it could be a paper clip sharpened down. And then as far as getting ink, they can melt down chess pieces, get the soot, let it dry out, then add some water and create the ink that way.
So right here we've got a kite, which is an inmate manufactured note going from one inmate to another. They take the kite, attach it to something, it has a little bit more weight, throw it underneath the door. Through their practice, they get good at this, and then pass that kite from one side of the building to the other side of the building. And a lot of this stuff is PayPal numbers, inmates information, numbers, phone numbers, where he got money from, inmates CDC numbers, where they're located at. There's a guy here that's located at Pleasant Valley. They got code names on a lot of this stuff. So it's up to us to research all this and see if we can break it. Once again, the cat and mouse game.
We like to call this our wall of shame, and it's actually approved visitors that come in to visit their family members or friends of the institution that have been caught trying to smuggle in narcotics. The narcotics are wrapped up in latex gloves, balloons, cellophane, anything that will keep it secured, so when they do insert in their rectum or swallow, they don't pop. There's been a few cases where they put narcotics in a baby's diaper or formula and bring it in that way. And that's why we do these searches, not only to find the weapons, but their narcotics also.
I'm gonna strip you out, all right? Hold on, don't do anything until you're told, all right? Just take a step down.
A common method inmates use to hide and transport drugs, weapons, cell phones, and other contraband is called keistering.
Listen, I want 3 squats. On the third one, I want you to bend at your waist, spread your cheeks, and cough, all right? Go.
In which an inmate inserts the contraband into his rectum, which only strip searches can detect.
I would try to explain to the public that because you don't see us, you probably can't appreciate the day in and day out job that we do. It can be a dirty, dangerous, depressing environment. When you put 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 human predators in a walled-off facility with a couple hundred individuals that are charged with keeping the peace, we're doing it. We're cops inside a city. Every crime that you can imagine in your city or your town happens in a prison. And we're the police force in that prison. And we deal with all of it. We deal with all of it.
Isolated and outnumbered behind the wall, the stress on officers is unrelenting.
As soon as the gate closes behind you, you're on high alert. For 8 hours, 16 hours, you're not allowed to go home.
They're in the same melting pot as the inmates are, and sometimes they're all by themselves with maybe one other staff member. It's a place of pain and misery and threat and danger, and they're bombarded by whatever is around them, and they cannot get away from it.
Prisons are trauma-filled for both the people who are incarcerated as well as the officers that are there working. It's a very difficult situation, and everybody's trapped in there, and they are experiencing trauma. The officers need the support of trauma-informed care because the trauma they experience is then going to be taken home with them.
We have bad days. Somebody gets hurt, you get hurt, or one of your staff members is hurt, and you go home, you take that with you, and nothing good comes of it.
It takes its toll on your family life. Even when you think you're leaving it, sometimes you don't.
We've seen a high number of suicides, high divorce rate, alcohol-related issues, high stress issues.
So it is a very toxic situation to have everyone involved in it experiencing trauma.
A recent study found 1 in 3 correctional officers suffers from depression or PTSD, with 1 in 4 suffering from both. Another study found the suicide rate for correctional officers is nearly twice that of street cops.
Staff are exposed to all kinds of heinous things, themselves being assaulted or even witnessing a coworker being assaulted, which can shake somebody up because that could have been them. And they go back the next day like nothing happened. I'm all good. That's one of the expressions that they would use. I'm all good. And meanwhile, they may be sweating buckets and they may not have slept the night before and they cannot get the thing out of their mind. It's toxic. It breaks people down.
There are 34 state prisons throughout California, housing about 95,000 inmates. Most are in remote areas, with the isolation often challenging for officers and their families. Built in the 1800s, San Quentin and Old Folsom are California's oldest prisons, with most others constructed between 1933 and 1997. The system's aging infrastructure can make life difficult for both inmates and officers.
I think one of the biggest problems with a prison that was built as long ago as this one was is the infrastructure's falling apart. We have cells in disrepair, windows falling apart, air conditioning doesn't work, the plumbing's always breaking. This guy's cell, I gotta move him to another one because his toilet doesn't work, his sink fell off the wall. The windows are broken, everything needs to be updated. The light bulbs in this hallway, we have to put a work order in and they might get it today, they might get it tomorrow, and they might get it next week. The air filtration system in this unit is supposed to be changed, I think, every month, and we're lucky if we get it once a year. A lot of these guys in their cells, they'll cover up the vents because they don't want the air flowing into the cell that's dirty. So, and a lot of times you'll see the black around the grates. There's just too much dirt coming through the filtration system. So we got to deal with it on a day-to-day basis. Even on the newer prisons, we're so hard on them, staff and inmate-wise, that those fall apart really fast too. We are definitely in disrepair.
California's correctional system also includes 3 juvenile justice facilities, housing about 300 youthful offenders, called wards. The state's most dangerous, serving time for rape, murder, armed robbery, and other violent crimes. But in 2023, all 3 facilities will be closed.
These guys range from 13 to 23 years old. A lot of them have come from homes that they never had anything good. That's all they know is that gang-banging life. Their parents gang-bang, their grandparents.
See, some kids have been raped, some kids have been abused, some kids have been, they've seen multiple deaths. So we have to deal with all the trauma that has occurred.
A long time ago when I worked at Preston, an old counselor told me, he says, in about 20 years, you're gonna see what crack and meth is doing to this world. And I think this is what we're dealing with now. We're dealing with more mental health issues. We do have the gangs, we're always gonna have gangs, it's not gonna go away. But now there's more of a mental health issue.
We try to patch up what we can and get them to school, get them the treatment and the training that they need on a daily basis. The counselors are a big part of what we're trying to accomplish here.
Today's Thursday. We're going to continue our skill of the week. Do I have a volunteer who would like to start the process? It's coming up. First of all, what's our skill again? Right?
Skill is responding to failure.
We're going to use these skills in your scenario.
Hey, you have failed your math test, so what are you going to do about it?
Well, I'm not going to make a big deal about it. I'm not going to respond negatively. So, do you think I could just take it again?
Yeah, you can have another chance. Good luck.
Thank you.
Our goal is to instill values that they will be able to carry on when they go outside and take with them, like integrity, attitude, responsibility, and that's our hope. And it's little by little.
These guys are out all day, they're going to school every day, they're receiving groups every day. You know, they're getting more than they did at home. you know, and that's on an everyday basis. And if for some reason they get into some trouble, a fight, whatever, they'll probably be back programming within a couple days.
If you treat them with respect, they're respectful back, but sometimes they mood swing. If they're having a bad day in another classroom and then they come here, I have to deal with the effects. If I feel like somebody's in my personal space, like if you're too close to me or someone's talking to me, I tell them, you're in my space, can you please back up? If they start cursing me out or saying, oh, F you, blah, 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 then I press my pause alarm.
Everybody has a personal alarm that they carry on their belt. So if there's any kind of incident or situation, we're able to push it, and instantly we'll have response. We have some very serious staff assaults here, and that's always horrible to see. It ranges from gassings or battery on staff.
To me, what stands out is when you see that staff after the fact. You see the blood on the ground, and then you come to work, you know, the next day and he's not there, he or she's not there. A lot of times, you see the reaction of the wards because it only happens on a unit, and there's no remorse there. They're actually sometimes are cheering, you know, or laughing and stuff like that. And that's angering, that's very frustrating, it's upsetting, you know, but as professionals, we need to deal with that in the professional way, and that's, again, using our resources as far as peer support and stuff like that. I mean, because it's easy to get mad, and it's easy to, you know, let that anger out in the wrong way, and that's not what we do.
This kid's coming in here at 15 years old, and they don't care. They don't know what's out there. Their homeboys are in the pen, of course, and they'll go there if they have to. They got family there. They think it's going to be okay. But that's what we have here. That's what California has.
You know, when you go inside the prison system, big house, the rules go out the door, and now you're dealing with men, you're dealing with about, you know, who you're gonna hang around with, who you're gonna associate with.
Even if you're not a gangbanger from the street, you will align yourself or associate yourself with somebody based on your race or based on where you're from on the street.
And I said, well, you know what? If I hang with these type of people, I think they got my back and my support. I think my survival coming into the prison system and doing my time, I think I'll be all right. Now I got people that's gonna back me up instead of me being solo.
Because when things go bad, you better have somewhere to land, and if you're floating out in the wind, it can be dangerous.
If you don't want to associate with them, then you're gonna pretty much be like left out by yourself, and anybody can come and attack you, and you got nobody to back you up and support.
Depending on their race and where they're from, most inmates affiliate with one of 6 major prison gangs: the Aryan Brotherhood, Black Guerrilla Family, Mexican Mafia, Nazi Lowriders, the Northern Structure, and Nuestra Familia.
You would have to be a part of someone. You're a white guy, you're gonna fall under the whites. You're black, you're gonna fall under, you know, maybe what street set you're from. You're a Blood, you're a Crip, so on.
They stick to their own for the most part. You know, they'll intermingle if it makes them money or if it's, you know, good for their race, then they'll do that. The gangs are definitely running what's inside here politic-wise.
Now called security threat groups, the gangs are well organized and sophisticated, controlling virtually all aspects of prison life, from prostitution, drugs, and cell phones, to assaults on officers and rival gang members, inside prison and out on the street.
The gangs are a huge force, a huge factor in the prisons. It cannot be overstated. The power within the prisons and their reach outside of the prisons is dramatic.
These gang members now have access to cell phones. Now it's a text message from one institution to the other.
The communication from within the prison to outside of the prison is almost seamless. There's 1,000 ways to communicate, including, as you probably know, cell phones that inmates are not supposed to have, but at any given time there are thousands and thousands of cell phones in the prisons right now.
Anything that's, you know, voiced in here will be heard outside.
Most of what goes on the streets of our communities in terms of gang lifestyle is orchestrated from inside the walls of various prisons, because there's so much control over what is happening with gang activity, and it's being controlled from the inside. So extremely dangerous, very difficult to get somebody out of that lifestyle, very violent behavior, and very controlling from within inside the prison walls.
Inmates are dominated by the gangs and risk punishment for failing to follow orders, make assigned hits, or pay drug and other debts.
Believe it or not, correctional officers are such a small part of their world. On a political level, they have so many other obstacles and pitfalls in their world that they have to worry about. The correctional staff is really a small part of it. Between the drug trade, assaults, people that don't pay their money and pay their debts to one another, those people get stabbed, those people get beat up. It's not uncommon on a level 4 yard to see a fountain of blood shooting out their neck when they get assaulted.
Under federal court order to improve health care for inmates, California has spent billions of dollars constructing new healthcare facilities and expanding healthcare staff in its prisons.
I think what the public would be really shocked about would be the medical that these guys get in here. They have better medical than people out on the streets have, you know. You want an MRI, they got an MRI the next day. They have, you know, how many millions of dollars we spend in pills and medications for these guys. It's shocking.
Believe it or not, we get the top tier here. We get the most current drugs, just cleared off the FDA to administer these folks.
We start out with scheduled blood draws, which we do every Tuesday and Thursday. That's done both for psych purposes and for medical purposes. After we're done with our blood draws, we start our nurses line. It could be a number of inmates coming down for athlete's foot to actual EKGs. After we're completing our nurses line, we then run a doctor's line, which runs 5 days a week unless it's an emergency, which runs on the weekends. We take them down from this line to go see an actual physician.
We have a radiologist that comes in and does the x-rays. We have full-time physical therapy here. We have respiratory. We have dental.
Dermatology, oncology, podiatry, ENT, ophthalmology, I mean, you name it, you know, we have it here.
And we have specialists in there for the HIV, Hep C specialists as well.
So you have pretty solid health care here at the institution, whether it be for your dental, for your eye care, or for any basic issues that you may have. We have rapid response almost. Better than you would get if you were an average citizen.
Inmates can request care by filling out a Form 7362, after which they must receive care within 24 hours.
If an inmate has any sort of request, whether it be a hurt tooth, new glasses, orthopedic shoes, pain in his back from a previous gunshot, he would fill that out on the form, and then we would be tasked with getting him to those appointments.
If for some reason they need to go to another hospital or another clinic, it's a duty of the medical staff here to make appointments, and they take them to other medical facilities, outside hospitals, outside clinics. They get exceptional care here.
Many inmates released from prison have serious mental issues, few social skills, and little job training, leaving little choice but a return to crime. To break the cycle, rehabilitation programs are being expanded.
People are starting to recognize that we need to be rehabilitating these people so that when they get out, it's not just a matter of just dumping them back on our streets. We should be confident that when they come out, they're not going to victimize others, and that they're going to re-engage in the community, they're going to re-engage with their families, they're going to become tax-paying citizens, and at the end of the day, they're going to be better, their neighborhood's going to be better, their community's better, and then we're all going to be safer.
In addition to counseling, inmates can earn high school and college degrees, learn vocational skills, and prepare for life on the outside.
Okay, we're gonna simulate a roof ventilation. This building's on fire. We got a nice column coming from the middle of the roof. Okay, I got my roof guys. You guys ready?
We train them in everything that a firefighter needs to be trained to. So every day is like a fire academy day for them. They do get their firefighter one when they parole. If I'm able to empower them to make better decisions, to learn a work ethic, to learn team building, then I'm making it safer for us when they rejoin the community after they serve their time.
There you go, sound off, nice.
What we want to do, guys, is put a little bit of Teflon on there.
This trains the inmate in a field that makes him viable in the industry at large when he gets out. I've had several inmates through the years that have gone right into the construction industry and right into the trades, whether it be carpentry or cabinet making, or in this case it'd be the solar panels.
It is amazing what programs are afforded here for a prison. It's amazing. You have getting your GED. You have Patton College where you could get your AS or your BA. You have coding classes here. The amount of education that is here is incredible. Whether that inmate takes advantage of it or not, are up to them. These are grown men that are here. If you come here, you have every opportunity to get out and do good.
Those people who are really, really dangerous should be distinguished from those people who did something bad but can get their act together. And most of the people in prison, in my judgment, fall in that latter category.
The state's Prison Industry Authority provides jobs and job training for inmates inside the prisons, using paid inmate labor to make license plates, furniture, and other products used by the state.
We provide work assignments for approximately about 8,000 offenders throughout California, and that's roughly about 6% of the prison population. Our recidivism rates, some of our programs are the lowest in the state. Our career technical education programs have a cumulative recidivism rate about 7.13%, which is extremely low. Our technology-based programs receive even lower recidivism rates. Our computer coding at San Quentin, that recidivism number right now is 0. Programs work. You know, what's not working is giving them $200 and saying goodbye at the bus station. It doesn't work.
The programs can be life-changing. Lyle Shellman, in prison for murder, now trains other inmates participating in Old Folsom's Braille program, which translates textbooks into Braille for blind students.
Instead of being somebody who is harming or hurting, which brought us all here to prison in the first place, I get to give a benefit. I participate in a child's education. I did a French book for one of our favorite little girls. We brought her up through high school, and the last class she had to have in high school to get into Fullerton State University was a French book. She wanted to do foreign language, and it was an advanced French book, and everybody in the shop was busy, and I was the last guy that was available, so I got the book. It was my first foreign language book. And when I finished it, everybody helped. You know, everybody pitched in, binding it and putting it together and proofing it, making sure it was all correct. We got it done 3 weeks ahead of time, so we got it out to her. And I got a card from her, brailled, from this little blind girl. It's pretty good stuff.
Did she get into college?
Yeah. Yeah, she got a scholarship.
When they finally granted my parole, it was an awesome experience. It was like one day I got a date, and next thing they got the car and you're going home. I remember calling my dad and telling my dad, I said, Dad, he goes, well, mijo, did they give you a date yet? Are you coming home? Where you coming home? All the time for, imagine, almost for all these years. And I finally told him, I said, Dad, I'm coming home. I get a little choked up a little bit, but my mom and dad stood by my side, I mean, from the beginning. My fiance, she stood by my side faithfully. I mean, it was the best thing happened to me in my life.
Most inmates are eventually released and returned to their home counties. To help make the transition, they're put on parole and assigned a parole agent, a combination cop and social worker.
Parole, we deal with serious and violent offenders, and with these offenders, they have drug cases, they have murder cases, sex offender cases, gang members. Some of the most serious and heinous crimes are what we deal with.
A lot of them have psychiatric problems, paranoia, and they can at any time relapse in their substance abuse, whether it's alcohol, heroin, methamphetamine, cocaine, or even marijuana.
Those individuals are our population. We are tasked to help the people that sometimes don't want to help themselves.
A lot of them want to change, but they don't know anything but a lifestyle of crime.
So as an agent, we have to help them, we have to counsel them, and their families and tell them that things are going to be different out here. You need to prepare them for those things so they don't give up and want to go back into the criminal lifestyle that they're used to.
I was gone for 29 years, 10 months. A lot of things change, and it's like a merry-go-round, the kids' merry-go-round at the park. You've seen those, and the faster it goes, and you want to jump on, but you have to get to that speed, right? And that's what it feels like. Getting to the speed of what life's going at, and you can't. Some say, heck, I'll go to the swings, which is heroin, right? I'll go to the slide, which is a man. Do you understand? The race to get up there is hard. They need support.
There's going to be a time where that parolee decides, hey, I'm tired. I'm ready for change.
I want to be sober. I want to maintain a financial stability. I want to go to high schools. I want to go to colleges and teach somebody younger than me that this ain't the way.
And at that point in time, it's just our job to help them with their substance abuse problem. It's our job to help them with housing, to help them with employment, anger management classes. And they take full advantage of it. They're able to do anything, get a job and be successful and stand on their own 2 feet and provide for them and their family.
So I got the job, got the interview, got the job, and I kind of like set the standards actually for that company because of my background. I was truthful with them and they became parole friendly.
If you go into a program after prison, you could get on welfare if you need to, get general aid, get a job, get yourself an apartment, and then you're not overwhelmed. Because you get overwhelmed, you're out of there. You're just gonna take the easy way.
It's really been beneficial for me. If I didn't have them, I don't know what I would have. I'd probably be using drugs, gang banging still. So it's been a good thing for me actually on parole.
They want to see you succeed.
After years in prison, the transition back to society can be difficult. Parole agents provide the structure and discipline to help parolees adjust to life on the outside.
I've gone to homes where someone's gotten out after 15, 18 years, and they don't know how to deal with the dogs barking, or the birds chirping, or the cars going by. It's very important that they slowly reintegrate and we give them extra attention like their parent. They call us if anything goes on or if they need anything.
Oh yeah, she got hurt. She almost died.
Oh gosh, I'm really sorry about that. Well, keep me posted, keep in contact, give me a text when you're back at the residence so I can come over there. I need to see you this month, okay?
Okay, well yeah, that's cool.
It gives you a feeling of I'm making a little bit of a difference.
I learned my lesson.
I know. All right. Well, keep up the good work. I'll talk to you soon. Okay, bye.
So they work with you. If you work with them, you gotta come in honest, don't bullshit them, stay focused. That's all I can say.
Parole agents typically supervise about 50 parolees at a time and make home visits alone without a partner, made more dangerous by the growing mental health and drug abuse issues among parolees.
We're always concerned when we go to a house because at any time, anything can happen.
Just recently, I went to the home as a normal visit, knocked on the door, he answered the door, and he starts getting irate. And mind you, he's about 6'4", pretty big guy. And I left the residence, and as I left, he was screaming, following me out the residence, and I got in my vehicle, called my supervisor, got local law enforcement. We went to arrest him, and he put his head through the back of the patrol vehicle. That was a scary situation.
For some parolees, the challenges are too great. They reject programming, fail to check in with their parole agents as scheduled, and become PALs, parolees at large. Parole agents then work closely with local law enforcement to locate the PALs.
Hey, I got a group here that I want you to take a look at. We talked about him when he first paroled. He was doing good for a minute, but we don't know his whereabouts.
Yeah, he hangs out over at the mortuary. That's where he beds himself at night.
Okay.
In the brush.
In that strip?
Yeah, in the strip and in the triangle.
Okay. We try to get him into a drug treatment program, and he just won't stay. He's got a serious history of 10-851s, the grand theft autos, the carjackings, those kind of things. If you guys can keep an eye out, I'd greatly appreciate it. We'll be out looking for them as well.
Sounds good.
All right.
Well, send this out.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks.
Talk to you soon.
Take care.
You too.
If we see a pal out on the street and we identify that pal as our parolee at large, we will identify ourselves as state parole agents, and then we would do a felony arrest.
Driver, stop the vehicle. Put your hands out the window. With your left hand, open the door. Driver, come out slowly. Hands up, walk back and sound my voice. Back, 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 back. Stop right there. Get on your knees. Don't move.